What would you do with $30? For most of us, it's not enough for dinner in a city. It's a tank of gas, a few overpriced coffees, and a weekend streaming subscription. But for one teenager in Europe, it became something more. A spark, a chance, a ticket into the unknown. This is the true story of Sebastian Malec, a broke student with a background in chess and not a dollar to spare, who took $30, entered an online poker satellite, and ended up beating over 1,700 of the world's most elite players to win the European Poker Tour's biggest prize. He walked into a tournament he had no business being in, and walked out a millionaire. Before we dive into how Sebastian pulled off one of the greatest upsets in poker history, take a second to like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell for more unbelievable true stories like this one. Sometimes, the smallest decisions, even a $30 gamble, can change everything. Sebastian wasn't a poker legend. He didn't have sponsorships or a big-name coach in his corner, no high-stakes experience, no televised final tables in his resume, just a laptop, raw nerve, and an unshakable belief that he could outthink players who'd been mastering the game for years. From a $30 online entry, he qualified for the EPT Barcelona, one of the most prestigious poker events in the world, with a €5,300 buy-in and a field packed with professionals, veterans, and big-name sharks. People who play for a living. People who know how to smell fear, recognize tells, and pick apart weak hands. But somehow Sebastian didn't just survive. He outplayed them all. Sebastian's journey into poker started long before that iconic final table. Before the lights, the cameras, and the seven-figure payout, he was a quiet, thoughtful teenager from Poland with a fascination for games that required precision and control. Chess was his first love, a game of pure logic, structure, and timing. He studied it deeply, learning how to calculate ahead, anticipate moves, and manage his emotions when under pressure. But somewhere along the way, poker entered the picture. It wasn't just the money that drew him in. It was psychology, the strategy. It looked like chaos on the surface, wild bluffs, chips flying, players shouting. But underneath, it was war, mental warfare. And Sebastian realized he could use the tools he'd built in chess, pattern recognition, risk analysis, and cold-blooded decision-making, and apply them to something far less predictable. He wasn't a poker prodigy. In fact, by the time he made his breakthrough, Sebastian mainly was broke. He deposited $13 into an online poker account. That was it. From there, he started playing the lowest stakes games, building a small bankroll, learning and studying obsessively. He took bad beats, made bad calls, and lost money. But he kept playing. Then came the $30 satellite. Satellite tournaments are how amateurs get their shot at the big leagues. You pay a small fee to enter a qualifying event. If you win, you don't get cash, you get a seat at a bigger tournament. For Sebastian, this $30 buy-in was everything. The chance to enter the EPT main event in Barcelona, a €5,300 seat, was a dream. He won. Just like that, he was headed to Spain to play against some of the most ruthless professionals in the world. 1,700 entrants, millions in the prize pool, cameras everywhere. Analysts break down every one among them. A kid who got in for $30. From the very beginning, he didn't play like the rest. While most amateurs would try to blend in, play tight, and stay quiet, Sebastian came out firing. His style was aggressive, unpredictable, and often erratic. He made big bets, weird calls, unexpected bluffs, and it rattled people. To the seasoned pros, it didn't make sense. They were used to opponents following patterns, established betting ranges, safe strategies, and textbook moves. But Sebastian played like he didn't know the rules or just didn't care. He leaned into uncertainty. He made calls others wouldn't dare, and more importantly, he didn't seem afraid of anyone. They didn't realize that his unorthodox style wasn't random. It was deliberate, a kind of calculated chaos. Because in a field where every player is trying to read you, predict your moves, and exploit your tendencies, being unreadable is power. Hand after hand, Sebastian built his stack quietly at first. He avoided massive confrontations early on, choosing to chip away with small pots and selective aggression. But as the tournament moved deeper, he started making waves. His chip count rose. People began to notice. Commentators took interest. And by the time the field had shrunk from 1,700 to a final table of 8, Sebastian Malec, the kid who started with $30, was still there. The final table was pure drama. Millions of euros are on the line. Every decision is amplified. And seated across from him, professional grinders with years of experience. People like Uri Reichenstein are calm, methodical, and dangerous. Sebastian, though, wasn't just surviving. He was controlling the pace. His style of play, bold, fearless, and often baffling, created pressure. He would overbet the pot, push with marginal hands, and make bluffs so wild they forced folds from more substantial holdings. One moment, he'd look like he was falling asleep. Next, he'd stack someone's chips with a devastating check raise. But his success wasn't without struggle. At one point, he lost a massive pot. His stack was crippled. For a moment, it seemed the dream was over, but Sebastian didn't panic. He leaned back, took a breath, and reset. This wasn't just luck. This was mental resilience. He built his stack again, clawing his way back, picking the right spots and making razor-sharp reads. And then, in the hand that would change everything, he went head-to-head with Reichenstein, a massive pot that would swing the tournament. The board was messy. The betting is aggressive. The pot had ballooned. Reichenstein shoved. It was a bluff, but a convincing one. Cameras zoomed in on Sebastian's face. He stared at the board, then at Uri, then back at the chips. Minutes passed, and then he called. It was a hero call, a world-class read. And when Reichenstein's bluff was revealed, the room erupted. Sebastian exhaled, stunned as the chips were pushed toward him. He was now in control. What followed was one of the most emotionally raw sequences ever broadcast on a poker stream. Sebastian fought back tears. He wiped his face. He looked around in disbelief. The final hands played out like a blur, but there was no doubt that momentum had shifted, and it wasn't going back. When the final card hit the felt and the final opponent was eliminated, it was over. Sebastian Malec, the broke student, the unknown kid with a chess background and a $30 online entry, was now the European Poker Tour Barcelona champion. He had just won 1.1 million euros. The moment was unforgettable. Sebastian didn't do a quiet fist pump. He didn't nod stoically like the pros. He broke down, he cried, he laughed, he paced around the stage in disbelief. And through tears, he pulled out his phone, taking a selfie as confetti fell and cameras flashed. It was pure joy, honest, raw, and utterly human. Poker had seen its fair share of champions, calculating, emotionless, unshakable. But then Sebastian reminded the world that poker is not just a game of numbers and probabilities. It's a game of dreams, of heart, of people. After the win, the poker world reacted with awe. Some analysts critiqued his crazy plays. Others praised his instincts. But most were stunned, not just by the victory, but by how he did it. By how a kid with almost no life experience could walk into the most oversized room in Europe and beat the pros at their own game. The truth is, poker is about more than just odds. It's about timing, psychology, guts, and Sebastian Malec had all of it. His story inspired thousands of aspiring players around the world. Because in a game dominated by sharks, Sebastian proved that sometimes, just sometimes, the underdog bites back. He didn't just win money, he changed the game. Sebastian Malec's victory wasn't just a payday, it was a message. That courage beats experience, that unpredictability can outwit preparation, that in a world dominated by polished veterans and data-driven strategy, there's still room for raw, unfiltered heart. He reminded us all that poker, like life, rewards those who take risks, who stay true to their instincts, and who never stop believing in possibility. His story didn't begin in the spotlight. It began in silence with $13, a dream, and the courage to sit down with giants. And when the final card was dealt, it ended with something much bigger than money: legacy.